Hey guys, my name is Timeo, and recently I had the opportunity to play the new Battlefield Hardline DLC. I don't know what to think of this, because on the one hand, it's great that more content is coming to Hardline. It direly needs it, and there are some nice qualities to this expansion, but on the other, the game is dead on PC. The game overall just isn't gaining traction, and I can't see this being the thing that causes more people to come back and play. I wasn't overwhelmed. I wasn't blown away by the awesomeness of the maps and the new weapons that are being added on in. And like I said, while there are some nice qualities, I think that for the very few people that probably picked up Premium, they'll play this for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, and then go back to their main first-person shooter. And so one thing that I do like about Criminal Activity is that they've added in new weapons. There is the new FAL battle rifle, which I know many people will be excited about because that's a very iconic gun, and then they've added one shotgun for each of the factions. The question that I'm hoping that is all on your minds right now is, aren't all of these guns exclusive for the Enforcer class? Like, aren't shotguns and battle rifles only for the Enforcer kit? You're absolutely right. Every single gun, except for the Tommy gun, and we'll get to that here in a second, but every single weapon is only going to be available for that one class. I don't really agree with the way that they gone about this, because if you were someone who wanted a new assault rifle, or you wanted to play as the professional and have a new bolt-action rifle to play around with, you're gonna have to wait a couple of months before you're ever gonna see any of those new weapons. From what I remember from this little event that I attended, every single DLC is gonna be focused on one kit or one class. So the next one might be the professional, or it might be the assault. So what this really means is that you may have to wait another half a year before you get weapons for the class that you really enjoy. That just doesn't seem like a good way of handling things. Maybe they're just trying to get more people to play as the Enforcer. Maybe that class is underrepresented on the battlefield and they want to get more people to play that, and that's one way they're going about it. But even still, I feel like it would have been way more advantageous just to have every single class have one or two guns per DLC and then call it good. That way, everyone gets their shiny new toy, every class is represented, and you don't feel like you're just getting the shaft because you don't want to play as a certain class and you can't enjoy that content. A little silly in my eyes. One thing I do love though, and I have to commend the developers on, is the addition of the new nail gun battle pickup and the Tommy gun. The Tommy gun is amazing, and not because it's overpowered. It's not actually overpowered in the slightest, and that's due in part because it's an all-kit weapon. Because every single class can use it, they had to nerf its capabilities. If this thing was competent or on par with assault rifles, or if this was on par with some of the best guns in the game, like the M16 or the K10, there really wouldn't be much incentive to use anything other than the Tommy gun. Then at that point, Hardline would have even worse weapon balance. Everyone would be running around with only one gun for all of the classes, and of course that's something that we want to avoid. And so the main reason why I really like this gun is that it's not flat out terrible. You can still use this. You can still be effective on the battlefield if you know what you're doing and you're a decent shot, but it's just a really cool gun. I mean, it's a very iconic gun. The first time I learned about Hardline, I really wanted to be set in the Prohibition era. I wanted to use the Tommy gun and these really iconic weapons, and the fact that they're adding it into Hardline with this DLC is just awesome for me. Hopefully, they're going to continue on with this trend in all of the DLCs. Hopefully, they're going to be adding in really cool, iconic weapons along the way for every single expansion pack, and if that is the case, I could not be happier. Another thing I really like is the addition of the nail gun battle pickup. This thing hits hard. It does 50 damage per nail at all distances. Doesn't matter if your enemy is right in front of you or a little bit further away. And it also has an RPM, I think, as fast as you can squeeze the trigger. This might sound overpowered. 50 damage at all distances? Yeah, it is. But the twist to it, and hopefully you guys will see here, is that the nails dip, just fly, skyrocket to the ground a good 10 to 15 meters out. And so if you are able to close the gap on an enemy and you're able to hip fire him down, you can almost take him out instantly. Like, this thing hits ridiculously hard, but you're not gonna be able to snipe people at long range. Personally, I was having a blast using this against the other YouTubers. If I was clever enough and I was able to close the gap on them, this was a very humiliating way of taking them out. And so while it's not going to be like this awesome new weapon that everyone's gonna gravitate over towards, if you wanna humiliate your enemy, or if you're just clever enough and you're looking for a challenge, the new nail gun is a really cool addition into Hardline. As for the maps themselves, while I don't have anything really negative to say about them, I also wasn't blown away by their awesomeness. They're all pretty much going to be focused on infantry-based gameplay. The only one that felt like a true Battlefield map is Backwoods. That's the one that you guys are seeing right now. That's going to have some nice, large conquest gameplay. It's the only one that has hot wire. In my opinion, it was one of the best ones. It looks amazing, by the way, if you can't tell. The aesthetic on this one is fantastic, but pretty much all of them are going to be revolving around infantry-based combat. One of the reasons why I may have not have been blown away by it is because they admitted that pretty much all of them are designed around having 64 players on them, even for TDM. It seems like they took the criticism of the block. I'm sure many of you guys are very aware of the block. It's infamous at this point. It's the Metro of Hardline. It seems like they took that in consideration, especially for TDM, and expanded them and made them all accessible for 64 players. And so maybe when I play on a full 64 player server, we only had like 32 on some of these maps, so it felt way too large for the player counts that we had. Maybe my opinion will sway, but at least right now, a lot of them are quite standard. If you like infantry-based gameplay, you're gonna have a lot of fun with it, but like I said, I wasn't awed or completely blown away by what they delivered. But probably my biggest issue with this DLC is it's going to split the already tiny player base that we have right now. Admittedly, it's going to be a bigger issue on PC. On the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, there is still a lot of people playing Hardline. There's still thousands of people. It's a very healthy community on the consoles, but on PC, it is pathetic how few people still play this game. I just checked 5 minutes ago, there were 2 fullish servers in my region that had people playing, and one of them was 64 player The Block, basically Metro 2.0. Like, it's terrible. And so if it's anything like Battlefield 4, the DLC will launch, a fair amount of people will play on it. We might get a few more servers because people are going to come back and want to play on that content, but eventually, if it's like Battlefield 4, people are going to want to play with their friends. Their friends may not have picked up the DLC because they didn't think that it was worth it. They're going to go back to playing the vanilla maps, and it's going to die ridiculously fast. I just can't see why you would want to pick up this DLC, at least for PC. On consoles, like I said, it's going to be a different story, but on PC, it's going to separate the player base. It's going to get to the point where maybe it will last for a couple of weeks. That's it. You're going to go back to the normal vanilla maps because the servers are going to die. They're not going to be populated, and it's going to turn into a ghost town. That's my fear. I have a feeling that it's going to happen very, very quickly, and it's for that very reason why I'm having a hard time recommending that anyone picks up Premium or just buys this DLC if they are at least playing on a computer. But overall, if you do play on console and you love Battlefield Hardline, you can't get enough of it and you want more content, then this will probably be a reasonable purchase, especially if you love infantry-based gameplay. It's got some new cool weapons, and while I don't really agree with the way that they've added on in, I love the Tommy gun, I love the nail gun, and I think just in general, there is some fun to be had here. But if you do play on PC, I'm really having a hard time recommending this. Maybe I just need to put more time on these maps. Maybe when the DLC launches and I can play on a 64-player conquest, I'll have a different opinion. But at least right now, especially because of that dwindling player count, it's really hard to recommend to pick up this DLC or to buy, especially Premium, to have this new content. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's little first look at Battlefield Hardline's new Criminal Activity DLC. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. Are you really excited to get your hands on the FAL? Are you going to be skipping this like I'm assuming a lot of people are? Let me know down below. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.